I'm Robert Lunte from the Vocalist Studio, and I want to wish you guys a very prosperous 2022. I hope that all your dreams come true and you are super productive and get a lot done this year, especially your singing and your training to become a stronger, more coordinated, motor skilled singer. Why? Because you've trained. Because you're practicing and you're working on the content here, okay? Down, if I'm scrolling down, we had a question here from Aniela Monacia. The question is, could you please recommend a 15-minute warm-up right before a show? I can recommend a 15-minute warm-up right before a show. So, in the Vocalist Studio full course offer, when you purchase the course, there actually is a training workflow guide for a 15-20-minute workout. So we'll sort of put that together for you. Okay, it's available, but I'll go ahead and explain to you what I would do with that. Okay, it would be number one. First thing I would do is I would do semi-occluded phonations. I would buzz on a nasal. Okay, so when we say nasals, these are our nasals. All right, there's 3 nasal consonants in English. You got your you got your and you got your and G, all right? Now, when we buzz on the nasal, all right, in a particular specialized way, when we do that, it sort of balances the sound pressure levels and the upper and the lower subglottal and upper supraglottal air pressures and physics and stuff, which I'm not going to get into too much, okay? But there's a lot of physics involved in singing great and warming up, all right? Buzzing on the nasal gets those physics balanced. Okay. And so here's what you would do. You're going to get into an M. You're going to put a little smirky smirk in your lips like this. And you're going to buzz to make your lips vibrate. Make your lips vibrate. Don't hum. Buzz. Don't do this. That's actually not going to help you. It's going to make you more tired. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to really buzz. Make sure your lips are tickling. Okay? 2. When you go into the nasal, and when you go into the buzzy M, cry, okay? Engage cry mode. Now, in my training program, we talk a lot about a physical configuration in the larynx that we call cry mode, all right? And it's super important to getting a good warm-up and singing great and really everything about singing. There's lots of content on it. Go check it out, okay? Vocalist Studio cry mode. But warming up, 15 minutes, you're going to buzz on a nasal with cry mode. How do I know I'm applying cry mode? Because at the beginning of the buzz, there's a little bit of a whimper. There's a little, you hear this? Listen closely. Listen closely. I'm going slow-mo. Hear that little mousy chirp? That is evidence, that's a symptom of me thinning out my vocal folds and engaging cry mode, okay? So, buzz on a nasal, engage cry mode. And get to a keyboard, all right? And give yourself melodic fifth interval. So melodic fifth just means thumb on your low note, pinky on your high note, and it would be a fifth. So I'll just give you an example of a fifth. Okay, now you can do any interval is fine, but I tend to sort of like to go with the fifth. It's not too small, it's not too big, it's just sort of a sweet spot, okay? So we'll just go with the fifth for now. All right, I'm gonna buzz on that nasal with cry mode with a little whimper. All right, buzzing on the nasal, make your lips vibrate, lots of cry mode from the bottom note, slowly up to the top note, stop, take a breath, from the top note back down on the buzzy cry mode, nasal. Okay, that's 1. 2, the second thing I would do is I would then do the same movement, but then do it twice. And on the second one, I would release into the vowel. All right, so you're going to release into the vowel A, as in steak and eggs. Watch me. Take a breath, release the vowel. All right, that's a workout we call track and release. Okay, so let's review. I would buzz on the nasal up and down twice, only on the nasal with cry mode. Then after doing that for 5 or 6 minutes, I would then buzz on the nasal and release into a vowel. You can release into any vowel is fine. Each vowel feels a little different. Each vowel sort of has a different characteristic to it. The vowel I recommend for a quick warm up without having to fuss and be too burdened by, some vowels are more difficult than others. The best vowel would be A, okay? Just to not have to hassle with the vowel so much, okay? In other words, don't dive into an E or an oo or an which are these closed, choky vowels that will just give you additional problems, all right? So we're gonna do a sort of an open vowel, which is A, okay? So the next thing you would do after that is I would do glottal attacks, attack and release onsets, all right, with cry mode. So what's that? This is a glottal attack, or what we call in my program, the attack and release onset. Glottal attack is just simply coming straight into the vocal sound on a vowel. All right, it doesn't start with the nasal, it doesn't start with wind, it doesn't start with an L, it doesn't start with a consonant, it's just smacking straight into the vowel. That's a glottal attack. In my program, we call that an attack and release onset. All right, it's a technique that you train that helps you really just, man, it really helps you a lot. It'll just help you build an amazing voice, okay? So that's what I would do. And I would take that all the way up to, say, like a C5, if you can, or at least through the passaggio a little bit. Going through my passaggio now. I'm going to say, every single one of these glottal attacks have cry mode in them, okay? If you slow down, if you go slow-mo and you listen to this, like slow down the video and you listen closely, you'll hear me whimper into it. Now it's coming by really fast right now, so it might not be easy to pick up, but it's there. Okay? Buzzing on the nasals, releasing into the 8 vowel, then do cry mode glottal attacks. And then the last thing that I would do, if you only had 15 minutes, would be to take those glottal attacks and put them on the move with siren. So you would do it 5 times and then descend down to melodic fifth. Watch. All right, does that make sense? That is one of a few different routines that you can do in 15 to 20 minutes to quickly warm up. All right, so you're going to buzz on a nasal, release into the vowel. You're going to do individual attack and release onsets, and then you're going to do individual attack and release onsets and put them on the move. Okay, put them on the move. Let's go to the next question. Boom. Boop, boop, boop. The next question I have here is, what's the best warm-up for rock singers? All right, the best warm-up for rock singers, to be completely straight with you, what I just described. that warm-up routine, and in particular, the glottal attacks, the attack and release onset, where we're coming into the vowel. For rock singers, for people that have to belt and take their chest voice and vocal fold, certain vocal fold configurations high above the vocal break to belt into the head voice, which all rock singers need to do for sure. Most singers need to do it, but for sure, rock singers need to do it. What I would do is the attack and release onset, okay? Found in the program. Pretty simple. With the nasal buzzing. So the same program, really. The same routine I just shared with you. All right, let's go out here and take some new questions that just came in. All right, so how many viewers we got? We got 490 viewers. That's amazing. Okay. Hello, Jan. Hello, Pierre. And Donovan Molina. Is there a documented middle stage between falsetto and belting voice? The question is there a documented stage between falsetto and belting voice? Stage. No. I wouldn't say, there is a difference. I'll talk about that, but I wouldn't call it a stage. What I would say is there's certainly a documented difference in the configuration of the vocal folds and other physiology involved between falsetto and belting, for sure. And in some sense, that's a big part of what the Vocalist Studio course and programs are a lot about. It's what I dedicated my life to in regards to vocal training, and that is to be able to turn falsetto, weak and windy, into something that is full and chesty and boomy and heroic, which we sometimes refer to as belting, okay? So what's the difference? Well, among other things, I'm trying to keep it quick here, falsetto is characterized by the vocal folds opening up too much in the oscillation cycle, meaning there's too much wind blowing through falsetto. So that's why falsetto sounds like this. It's why it sounds sort of windy, sounds sort of girly-ish and stuff, because the vocal folds are open too much in the oscillation cycle, and this is the sound color that you get, okay? Belting is when the vocal folds are compressing and adducting more often above the vocal break, so as to get a more realistic, authentic chest voice sound above the vocal break. So you could say that the vocal fold configuration for falsetto and the vocal fold configuration for belting are at the polar opposites. They're both at the extremes, okay? Falsetto, sometimes we want it for singing, but it's very rare. We do use it for training for certain techniques. So it has a purpose, but it's less popular both in training and singing. Belting is really the goal. It's the thing that we're trying to get to as contemporary voice training students, okay? And it's what the audience wants to hear. It's what we need to do when we're singing, all right? And that's we get to belting through a lot of discipline and a lot of training, okay? So if you're interested in learning more about that, check out my program called Belting in the Head Voice. It is literally a course designed to teach you how to do that. Okay, to build the motor skills and the strength to do that. Donovan, there is a difference, but it's all about vocal fold physiology and the training and commitment required to get there. All right, are there any other questions? I'm going to take a few other questions, you guys. If we don't have any other questions, then we'll just check in a week or so and do this again another time. But here we are. Robert from the Vocalist Studio, from Become a Great Singer and the 4 Pillars of Singing and Belting in the Head Voice and other cool contemporary vocal training programs at your service this morning. Any questions? All right, my head voice, okay, look at this. We only sing just a chest voice and thin out, So we only sing just on chest voice and thin it when up high and no more switch or transition right. Yes, generally speaking, yes. Anurag Sharma, what should I do? I don't know what your question is, Anurag, but I know we do have a lesson in the next day or so. Larry Hayes, Larry, what's up, buddy? Yeah, so I got out of Dodge. I moved to the mountains in Idaho. I'm in Ketchum in Sun Valley now, and loving it. And this is my new studio, and thought I'd give the vocal athletes some help, some service. All right, Anurag Sharma, my head voice sounds like female sound when not falsetto. Okay, if you're through the vocal break in the head voice and you know it's not falsetto, so it's not sort of a windy, girly sound, but it still sounds too bright, too thin, that's certainly possible. What I would advise is that you go to the 4 pillars of singing, the program, and you work on dampening the larynx, lowering the larynx, 1, okay, because that's going to add more color and warmth to your voice. 2, experiment with tuning in as in would, could, should, OU, ishness or ishness into your sound colors. Doesn't matter what you're singing. Whatever the presentation vowel is, whatever the lyric vowel has to be for the audience to understand what you're singing, that remains predominant. That's the primary. But even if you're singing the lyric and you do have to articulate the perception of language colored vowels because you're singing a song with lyrics, you can still blend in. It's just subtle, just a touch. Blend in a little bit of or ishness into your presentation vowels for the purpose of getting more warmth in your sound so you don't sound thin. And it also adds some anchorage in your voice too. It makes the voice more stable when you add in these mid-narrowed vowels like and ah. Okay, so dampening the larynx, dial in some or ishness into your formant tuning. Okay, and then work on attack and release onsets and dampen and release onsets and pull from the bottom up. Work on literally pulling chest in a healthy way. And when I say a healthy way, that means it's got cry mode in it. Okay, so as long as you're always crying and thinning out into the vocal workout, you're going to be safe. You're going to be healthy. It's going to be fine. So make sure you're always crying. But then once you got that, you're going to pull and really work on bringing chest voice high with cry mode. Use those mid-narrowed vowels to help get anchorage and add color to the voice, and work on dampening your larynx. All of these techniques are found in the 4 pillars of singing and my other course, Belting in the Head Voice. And if you just go out there, you watch the videos, and you practice exactly what I tell you to do, you will be singing amazing. Guaranteed. All right?
Most singers have a huge problem singing from the chest voice through the vocal break and into the head voice without pushing, without squeezing, without choking, without experiencing instability problems, and without sounding weak and windy on top. I know this because I dedicated my life to helping singers learn how to fix that problem. My name is Robert Lunte, and I'm the founder of the Vocalist Studio. Work with my training program, and if you do your part in practice, I guarantee you'll fix that problem. I look forward to hearing from you.